Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas most recently played host to the Super Bowl, which Taylor Swift and her Kansas City Chiefs won in typical show-stopping fashion. Just 1 month later, and an even grander spectacle prepares to descend upon the Sin City. On March 2nd, Australia's National Rugby League will announce itself to American audiences with a blockbuster doubleheader that will kick off its regular season. While New South Welshmen and Queenslanders alike may claim that rugby league is the world's greatest sport, unfortunately the facts don't lie, and outside of Australia's eastern seaboard, the sport remains relatively unknown and uncared for. So the decision to take 2 games across the Pacific Ocean to a nation where not even soccer has been able to truly penetrate seems somewhat baffling. Yet, sending a match to America has been a challenge that the league's top executives have been trying to tackle for over a decade, and it's an idea that resurfaces anytime the never-ending carousel of outrageous rugby league content has a slow week. There's one glaringly obvious reason to bring these games to America: new market potential. Just like any business, the goal of the NRL is to grow. Unfortunately for them, other than in Australia, the sport is overshadowed by rugby union, which, despite the similar name, is in fact an entirely different sport. Between these two codes, union has a superior global outreach, and when rugby is mentioned, it is generally assumed to be in reference to union. In this sense, rugby league has limited exposure to international audiences and thus limited room to grow and expand. America, however, is free real estate, a territory unclaimed by union. For Americans familiar with the NFL's structured game mechanics, a game of rugby union would be confusing to follow. Its endless phases and scrums and lineouts, and the kick tennis. In comparison, League's 6-tackle set structure is basic. It's easy to follow, and it emphasizes physicality over strategy. This makes America ripe for the picking for the NRL to carve out a new market, especially when the game can't sustain revenue growth by simply relying on local broadcasting and advertising deals. To put it simply, Australia and New Zealand combined have just 1/10 of the USA's population. The market is too small to justify the levels of expansion that NRL executives have promised for the next decade. In terms of contact sports, gridiron is king in America. But there are plenty of Americans who are growing tired of the constant stoppages and the stringent umpiring approach of the NFL. In this respect, the NRL offers a breath of fresh air. Rugby league's inherent appeal is its physicality, which is the exact aspect of the game already being marketed to American audiences. While the irony of the video is obvious to Australians, considering it highlights an array of hits that would be harshly penalised in the modern game, it is thankfully lost on Americans who deal with an even softer set of rules in gridiron. The focus of the marketing campaign may be slightly misleading, but if it gets Americans watching league, then, well, who cares? It's working. And chairman of the Australian Rugby League Commission, Peter V'landys, has enough faith in the entertainment package that the NRL provides that as long as they can get bums on seats and eyes on screens, they'll gain new fans. V'landys and his posse of suits are taking an educated gamble on the American market, hoping that the spectacle provided by the 2 Vegas games will translate to American cable networks and streaming services, giving them a chance to showcase the full NRL season to American audiences. Marketing for the upcoming games is already in full force, as is television deals to broadcast the games on Fox Sports 1, a premier sporting channel in America. The timing works as well. March is a dead period in the American sporting calendar, making it the perfect time to promote rugby league, particularly when American sports fans are clamoring to digest new content. In addition, the virality that social media provides means that if even just one popular talk show, podcast, or YouTuber decide to report on the games, it could translate to hundreds of thousands of potential new fans. For the NRL, that's the jackpot. Getting viewers invested in the sport long term is the main goal of the Vegas trip. And with the NRL season mostly taking place during the NFL's off-season, the league could easily carve out a market of dedicated fans who turn to rugby league to fill the void left in their lives in the wake of the Super Bowl. Volandis and company haven't thought up this idea on a whim though. There's precedent for their decision. 16 years ago, the NFL set off on its own voyage across the pond, taking 2 games a year to London, the beginning of a push to grow the sport globally. In fact, most sporting leagues around the world have sent games to other countries, to varying degrees of success. For the NFL though, the investment paid off massively, and now it has not only seen an increase in international fans tuning into their games, but international players coming across to America to give the sport a shot. Players like Jordan Mailata, who was once a league player himself, are showing that it is possible for young kids around the world to make it in one of America's most lucrative sporting leagues. This obviously has a knock-on effect. Because of Mailata, more Australians than ever are watching the NFL now that they have a local rooting interest. The NRL believes the reverse situation could work. Gridiron has some of the most physically intimidating athletes in the world, and plenty of them don't pan out in the NFL, or never quite make it past the glory days of their college careers. For them, Rugby League Down Under could be a lifeline to extend their professional sporting careers, and for the NRL, if even just one of those athletes makes the starting roster, they could see a huge spike in viewership from the USA. As part of its venture to Vegas, the NRL are hosting a talent combine where they are inviting 25 men and 25 women to showcase their skills in America. 4 of whom will be invited down under to train with NRL teams in an attempt to give these lucky players a chance to make an NRL roster in the future. It bears significant resemblance to the International Player Pathways program that the NFL runs every season, the very program that gave Mailata his shot with the Eagles. It is clear that the NRL's Vegas plan and the programs that they are looking to implement are inspired by the NFL's success. In fact, there is an abundance of similarities between the 2 leagues as the NRL attempts to package itself as the Australian version of the NFL. A strategy which will make it easier than ever for fans and athletes to transition to watching and playing rugby league. Even half of the team names are a direct nod to their NFL counterparts, which might be a coincidence, but still speaks to a synergy between the 2 leagues that Volandis and the NRL can capitalize on. There should be a healthy level of skepticism about bringing the NRL to America. I don't think that it can be overstated how little people over there know about rugby league. On top of that, the stadium is unlikely to sell out, and its dimensions will limit attacking opportunities. The broadcast will be on far too late for American East Coast viewers, and for those who do watch, they're going to have to suffer through Danganane and Blocker Roach describing how impressive the modern day wingers are. There are plenty of reasons why this won't work. By Monday morning on March 4th, I predict the Aussie tabloids will be launching a scathing review on the NRL's Vegas fail. But once the storm settles and the numbers are crunched, I think the fans and the media alike will be singing a slightly different tune. The plan is bold, but bold is good. The reality is that the fruits of the Vegas plan will likely not be realized in 2024, but in 5 or 10 years when the pathways and programs have been established, when cable and streaming deals have been made, and when a dedicated American fanbase has been carved out. It will take time, but I believe that rugby league is tailor-made for American enjoyment. The game is fast, with far less stoppages than the NFL, yet still structured and easy to understand with its 6 tackle sets and emphasis on momentum and physicality. You factor in the scintillating off-field drama and you have a sport that ticks every box. If growth and expansion is the goal, which it obviously is, then the decision to promote the game in America is absolutely a gamble worth taking.